Hey guys, King Martin here, otherwise known as Arch in the world of Warcraft, and I've got a special video for you today. I have managed to get myself on to the alpha, thanks to a friend of mine letting me use his account. He shall remain anonymous, because I don't want Blizzard to fuck him over. And I have got some demonology information for you today. Now, at first, this was horribly broken, and every spell pretty much crashed the client. But they have since fixed that, so I can now actually play around with it. And I have been playing around with it. I've got up to level 102. I've done a couple of the questing areas. I've done the artifact stuff. And I've got a pretty good idea of how things are playing out. So, first of all, we'll dive into the actual abilities. Now, I'm noticing in Legion, they are very much pruning the number of abilities every class has. So, let's just go through that. We've got your standards, your originals, your banish. Everybody knows how banish worked. We've got a new ability called Cool Dreadstalkers. This summons 2 ferocious Dreadstalkers to attack the target. That costs 2 soul shards. Command Demon, as everybody is aware of. Create Healthstone, as always. Create Soul Well. Dark Pact currently is a talent, which I've got active. Demonic Empowerment is another new spell. Empowers all of your active demons with dark energies, increasing their haste and health by 56%. Baseline, that is 50%, but I have got some of the artifact perks. Demonic Gateway, as always. Demon Wrath is another new ability. Your demons crackle with demonic energy every 0.84 seconds. All enemies within 10 yards of any of your demons take 2,715 shadow damage. Each time Demon Wrath deals damage, it has a 15% chance to generate a soul shard, may be channeled while moving. So this ability, now, it doesn't matter how many demons you have around a target. That one target will only ever take 1 tick of damage, which is a little bit lackluster if you ask me. I feel like every single demon should provide a tick of that damage, so that if you have 7, 8, 9, 10 demons surrounding this target, you should be, rewarded for having so many demons out. And it's basically what you're going to be casting whilst you're moving. So I do feel like that needs to be fixed, because right now it will never be used because the damage is just absolute poop. But we're not looking too much into the actual damage numbers here, but they do need to fix the amount of targets that it will hit. Doom is changed slightly for Demonology. Now inflicts impending doom upon the target, causing 60,000 shadow damage after 16.86 seconds. Generates a soul shard when it deals damage. I'll be honest, I don't really like how this works at the minute, particularly while you're leveling and questing, because most enemies die within 16 seconds, and so you never ever get to use this. On bosses it's fine, it's just a 16-second dot. It can make soul shard management a bit of a pain, because if you've put this dot up 16, 17 seconds ago, and then you're mid-casting a Shadow Bolt, and you're on 4 Soul Shards, and both the Shadow Bolt's going to finish casting and the Doom's going to proc at the same time, you're just going to waste a Soul Shard. But it's very hard to plan that 16 seconds in advance, so I'm not really sure how they could change this to make it better. I don't really like the idea of it deals damage every second or two and that has a chance to generate a soul shard, because I don't like RNG. I much prefer being the master of your own fate, but the way it currently is, I don't like it. So most enemies I won't even bother casting it on, because they'll just die too soon and it's just a waste of a GCD. Moving on, Drain Life. Everyone knows Drain Life. Don't tend to use it in this build unless you're dying. Enslaved Demon, as everybody knows. Eye of Kilrog, Fear, and Hand of Gul'dan has now changed. It now is a 1.26 second cast. It uses 1 to 4 soul shards, and calls down a demonic meteor full of wild imps which burst forth to attack the target for 12 seconds, deals up to 15,000 shadow damage to all enemies within 8 yards, and summons up to 5 wild imps based on soul shards consumed. Now this is where it turns into alpha. I don't know whether this is a tooltip error or whether there's a bug in the actual spell, but you cast it with 1 soul shard, it will summon 1 imp. Cast it with 2 soul shards, it will summon 2 imps. Cast it with 3, it will summon 3. Cast it with 4, it will summon 4. Now yesterday when I was playing on it, I did occasionally have it consume 5 soul shards, but I wasn't in an environment where I could actually check to see how many imps that spawned. I'm pretty sure it only summoned 4, but I could not get it to summon 5 soul shards for love nor money this afternoon. So either they fixed that overnight and the tooltip still says 5 even though it's actually only summoning 4, or what. Time will tell. It's still very early days. We are still in alpha, so we'll keep an eye on that and we'll check when it gets to betas to see whether that's changed to 4 or whether they've actually summoned a 5th when you use 4 soul shards. I think that would be nice. I think 1 should summon 1, 2 should summon 2, 3 should summon 3, and 4 should summon 5. I think you should be rewarded for pooling your soul shards and using it for a big summon, but I don't really know what Blizzard have intended on that. Health funnel, as everybody knows. Life tap, as usual. Ritual of Return, this is to do with your artifact. This takes you back to your class order hall, which is badass, and I'm sure you've seen it in plenty of other videos. Ritual Summoning, as always. Shadow Bolt now sends a shadowy bolt at the enemy, causing 9,000 shadow damage and generates 1 soul shard. Nice quick cast time on that. Soul Stone, Summon Demon, Summon Doomguard, Summon Infernal. Oop, no wait. Summon Inquisitor, that is a talent, so I'll go through that in a bit. And Unending Breath and Unending Resolve. Now, passives, Spell Armor. Fel energies protect the Warlock, increasing their stamina by 10% and increasing the healing received by 10%. Supremacy is a talent that I've chose. Improved Dreadstalkers, that's another talent. Your Mastery, increase Demonic Empowerment, also increases the damage of your demons by 60%. So, Demonic Empowerment, where we saw earlier, empowers all the active demons with dark energies, decreasing their haste and health by 56%. Your Mastery actually also increases their damage by 60%. So that makes your demonic empowerment ridiculously powerful. That's another talent. And passive Soul Link, 20% more damage taken is split with your demon pet. You are healed for 10% and your demon is healed for 40% of all damage you deal. Very useful for keeping your pets alive. Okay, so they are the core line base abilities. Now, before we look into the talents, I will go through the artifact. This is what it is. It's quite cool. You can see this little skull. That little skull floating around, that is actually my offhand, but he just floats around. He does his own thing. He don't care. And it comes with a little dagger, which you can see just just there. It looks kind of cool, but it's the little offhand that's the coolest part. Floating around, following you everywhere. So yeah, haste and mastery with crit and mastery. Now, the passive bonus of the artifact. Your shadow bolts can enrage Thalkiel, causing him to teleport to your enemies and scream, dealing 19,000 shadow damage to all enemies within 5 yards every 1.5 seconds for 6 seconds, and fearing lesser undead and demons. First thoughts. The fearing lesser undead and demons, that could get really feckin' annoying. So, I haven't encountered any lesser undead or demons yet. So we'll see whether that does get annoying, but all I know is if you've got everything grouped up and then it fears it all a mile away, that's just, it's a pain, especially if they're a caster. Secondly, alpha is alpha. This is bugged, as you'd expect. Currently it's hitting every target twice, and similarly, if you cast a Shadow Bolt and it procs it, if you then cast another Shadow Bolt, it will stop it from ticking any more damage. It's kind of like it tries to figure out whether it's going to proc again or not, and if it decides it's not going to proc again, then it stops the damage. So that's a little bit broken, and they're going to have to fix that. Similarly, the graphic for it, I feel they really need to work on it. It might be placeholder, but right now, in fact, I'll show you what it does. So I thought when I read it, when it says it teleports to your target and screams, that you're going to see him teleport in and there's going to be some cool animation of like the skull above everything screaming down onto the ground. That would be freaking sweet. But no, what happens is this. If I fire a couple of shadow bolts, any second now, it usually procs quite quick. Come on. Do it. There you go. That's it. Just that purple circle. That's it. That's all it does. So, in fact, that was only hitting once then. Have they fixed that when they kicked me off a second ago? That would be interesting. I will check that later. So potentially that bug's fixed, but the graphic is still shite and they need to work on that. So now let's look at the actual artifact tree. Now, first things first, you get Thalkiel's Consumption. Thalkiel drains the life from your pets and unleashes a blast of shadow damage at your current target, equal to the life he stole. I was a bit hesitant to use this at first because I wasn't sure how much health it's going to take and whether my pets would actually suffer from that. I can tell you now that it takes about 10,000 health from each pet, which is nothing. Like my Felguard's got 250,000, so yeah, it takes very, very little, so don't worry about that at all. But oh my god, does this do stupid damage. If you time this right, when you've got 4 or 5 or 6 imps out, plus 2 Dreadcallers, each with 2 imps, plus your Doomguard, plus your Inquisitor, and you pop this will do 250,000 damage. And can then still crit. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, it's a 1 minute cooldown, so you know that's understandable why it's ridiculous damage. Now I will say before we go through these that all of these they're okay. The talents in the artifact for Demonology, they're all right. They're not the best, they're not the worst. Each of them is either vaguely useful or vaguely improves your quality of life. Some of them are really good, but I wouldn't say it's the best artifact out there. But let's go through them. So, first we have Summoner's Prowess, increases the haste and health provided by demonic empowerment by 3% per rank. Open Link increases the healing of Soul Link by 10% per rank. That's I actually only selected this because I wanted to do some testing. The tooltip doesn't change at all. I wanted to know whether it would be another 10%, so it would be Warlock is healed for 20% and Demons is healed for 50%, or whether it would be Warlock is healed for 11% and Demons are healed for 44%. However, the tooltip didn't change. I didn't take any benchmarks beforehand, so I can't tell you for sure. But that would be quite useful in raiding. Increases the critical strike scaling of your Dreadstalkers by 5%. Now I'm going to circle back to this one because I don't know if that's critical hit chance or critical strike damage. And I'll tell you why, but that's potentially quite useful. Imp Slap. When handled down critically strikes, it summons twice as many wild imps. Now that is awesome. That is going to make critical strike very, very strong. Currently right now, Mastery is very strong, Haste is very strong, and Critical Strike is very strong. So there's a good chance that Demonology is going to scale incredibly well, but only time will tell on that matter. Doom of Azeroth increases the damage of Doom by 3%. Kind of lackluster. Doom does hit very hard, so that's quite nice. But like I said, Doom in itself is just shite, and they need to rework how it works because it's just poop. When your pets deal damage, you gain a stack of stolen power. At 100 stacks, your next Shadow Bolt is increased in damage significantly. Now, I can't tell you what significantly means, because as you can see, I haven't unlocked it yet. But that is going to be quite nice. if you manage your pets well and you constantly have lots of pets out and you're constantly empowering them so they get increased haste and they're attacking batshit fast, then you're going to be getting a lot of empowered Shadow Bolts, and it will be nice to see how much they mean by significantly, but that's quite a nice little passive. We'll go over to this side now. Dread of Night. Cool, Dreadstalker will summon a third Dreadstalker. That is awesome, because the Dreadstalker ability is sweet as F. I won't swear. Reduces the cooldown of Unending Resolve by 20 seconds per rank. That's kind of just quality of life change. It'd be nice for raiding. Imp to the Breach. When your wild imp would expire, it instead charges the enemy and explodes. That's just another nice little passive. Free damage, basically. I can tell you now, the explosion does about 10,000 damage from each imp, so that will be, that'd be quite good. Legion Wrath increases the damage of Demon Wrath by 10%. Now this is the AoE that I was telling you about, which only hits one target. One target can only be affected by your demons, so it doesn't matter if you've got 4 demons, that one target will only get hit once, so I think they need to fix that before that spell's going to be any use. Therefore, that makes this passive pretty shite, because it's just naff. More of Shadows increases the critical strike chance of Shadow Bolt by 3%. Just standard, really. Just standard damage buff, nothing exciting. Increases the damage of your Wild Imp's Firebolt by 10%. Again, another standard damage buff, nothing too exciting. Increases the critical strike damage of Handable Dan by 10% per rank. So that's nice. That will again favour crit strike, because the more you're critting with Handable Dan, the more imps you're summoning, and similarly the more damage it's going to be doing. So that's going to favour critical strike damage rather heavily. Now this is where I want to circle back to the Dreadstalkers one. This says increases the critical strike damage. This says increases the critical strike chance. This says increases the critical strike scaling. What the hell is scaling? Is that both damage and critical strike chance? Is it just damage? Is it just chance? Is it? I don't know. I've never seen this wording used before, and I can't find any reference to it anywhere online. So we're going to have to wait and see what they actually mean by scaling. And finally, when your wild imp dies, other pets are inspired and gain 1% additional damage. This effect stacks up to 25 times. On the face of it, this sounds really nice, but when you really think about it, this could be rather awkward. So your main pet, your Felguard, yes, he is going to gain a lot of stacks because he's going to be out all the time. They don't say how long the stacks last or whether it's permanent, so it could be a good chance that he ends up being on 25 stacks and stays on 25 stacks. Your Doomguard, that's one which could benefit from this and could gain a load of stacks throughout its duration. However, you would have to time it so that you summon your Doomguard just as a load of wild imps are about to die. And at the same time, your Inquisitor and your Dreadstalkers are only out for 12 seconds and 18 seconds. And your imps are out for 12 seconds. Like your imps are out for the same time as your cool Dreadstalkers. So the Dreadstalkers, you'd have to summon those just as you've got a couple of imps about to die, so that they get a buff. Otherwise, it's just going to be really awkward. I think it's just going to be really awkward for that ability to actually buff your pets, other than your Doomguard and your Felguard. But until I actually unlock it and start playing around with it, it's very much hearsay and conjecture at the minute. So that is the artifact. It's, like I said, it's not the best, it's not the worst. There is 1 or 2 in there which are just awesome, and there's a couple where are just kind of like poop. But, it's alpha, so it is subject to change. Okay, so now let us dive into the talents. Here we go. We have, where are we? Talents. Okay, so first tier of talents, we have Shadowy Inspiration. Demonic Empowerment also causes your next Shadow Bolt to be instant cast. Kind of nice, but at the same time, not all that helpful. Not compared to the other talents anyway. Shadow Flame. Lob a ball of Shadow Flame at the target, dealing 10,000 Shadow Flame damage and 12,000 Shadow Flame damage over 8 seconds. Stacking generates 1 Soul Shard. So really you can look at this as your Legacy Hand of Gul'dan. This works exactly the same way as Hand of Gul'dan does, except it's single target only, and it generates a Soul Shard. Now, this could potentially be quite useful because it's effectively 2 instant Soul Shards every 28 seconds, plus it's a bit of extra damage. But I really like Demonic Calling. Shadow Bolt has a 10% chance to make your next cool Dreadstalkers free, just because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to throw another ability in the mix, especially on Alpha when I don't have all my proper key bindings. So I've opted for that, but I do think that Shadow Flame will probably be the best option. Next tier, Impending Doom. Doom also summons 2 Wild Imps when it deals damage. Now this would be good, except for the fact that Doom's shite, and it's so awkward to use, it's so clunky, and it only procs after 16 seconds. So if you're doing Doom, will be good if you've got an AoE boss fight where you've got enemies which are going to be alive for a long time, and you can Doom everything and keep Doom rolling. Then this will be pretty good, because you will be constantly getting Wild Imps. I say constantly, every 16 seconds you'll be getting 2 Wild Imps per target. So it does have its place, but I still think Doom needs to be reworked. Improved Dreadstalkers. Dreadstalkers now also summon 2 Wild Imps. It's pretty good because that increases your demon count by 2. Now what the coolest thing about this is I'm going to just show you what it does, because the coolest thing about this is it doesn't just summon 2 extra Wild Imps. They come in riding on the back of the Dreadstalkers. That is just the coolest thing you've ever seen. So not only do you summon 2 Wild Imps, they come in riding them into battle. Okay, moving on. Implosion. Demonic forces suck all your Wild Imps towards a target and then cause them to violently explode, dealing 10,000 Shadow Flame damage to all nearby enemies. Now, when I first read this, I assumed it would kill them. Either it's a bug and it doesn't kill them, or it's working as intended and it doesn't kill them, and therefore it lets you cast it like 4 times in the duration of the Imp's life. So if I just show you, if I just summon a couple of Imps. Here we go. Right, so coming a couple of Imps, and now I'm going to start spamming it. And you can see them, boom, boom, boom. So for AoE, that's like awesome. But yeah, so we'll have to wait and see whether that's working as intended or a bug. Because as you can see from the combat log, I managed to get quite a lot of hits off, and that's on a single target, so it's quite good. But again, I'm lazy and I don't want to have to press another button, so I like the improved Dreadstalkers. 3rd tier, Soul Leech. Shadow Bolt grants you and your pet shadow shields, absorb 30% of the damage of deal. That's useful. Mortal Coil, probably better for PvP. Shadow Fury. Now Shadow Fury's changed. They've now added a cast time on Shadow Fury, which is really sucky. I don't like it, because by the time 1.26 seconds cast is off, whatever it is you were trying to stun or interrupt, it's done, it's too late. So I don't like it. I think they need to get rid of it. But Soul Leech is pretty much going to be your go-to unless you desperately need an AoE interrupt. Tier 4, Hand of Doom. Hand of Gul'dan now applies Doom to all enemies that it hits. Again, if you've got a mass AoE group that aren't going to die after 16 seconds and are going to be alive, that would be quite useful. But I don't know if you'd ever choose it. And similarly, Soul Harvest refills 5 Soul Shards on a 2-minute cooldown on a 1.7 second cast. I don't really know that 2-minute cooldown is worth 5 Soul Shards, considering the rate that you get Soul Shards. For Affliction, yes, fair enough, because your rate that you get Soul Shards as Affliction, especially single target, equates to roughly that, maybe. But on Demonology, you're getting 5 Soul Shards every 30 seconds. less than that, if anything. Well, let's just count it. So 1.5 seconds times 5, so that's 7.5 seconds. You're going to be getting 5 soul shards. So that's, you know, a 2-minute cooldown for what effectively equates to 7.5 seconds gained. Not really. And when you compare it to this middle talent, Power Trip, Demonic Empowerment now affects all of your active demons. So, my bad. I didn't actually show you this earlier when I was looking through the spellbook. Demonic Empowerment only empowers up to 3 of your active demons. Prefers stronger demons first. So Power Trip empowers all of your active demons. That is incredibly strong, especially when you combine it with your Mastery. And when you've got your Felguard plus your 2 Dreadstalkers, eventually 3 Dreadstalkers, with the 2 Wild Imps on top of them, plus you've summoned 4 Wild Imps, plus you've got your Doomguard out, plus you've got an Inquisitor, that's 12 demons benefiting from Demonic Empowerment instead of 3. That's the same as 4 Demonic Empowerments. So that's saving you not only 4.5 seconds of cast time and 12, 24, 36 seconds of recharge time. It's also giving you huge burst damage because you get all of those enemies out, all those demons out, and then empower them all to have 56% increased haste and 60% increased damage. So Power Trip is insanely powerful, and that's why I don't think you're ever going to take Hand Wriggle Dam or Soul Harvest. Tier 75, here we go. Demonic Circle. We all know how Demonic Circle works. Burning Rush. We all know how that works. Dark Pact. We all know how that works. Nothing new there. It's just choose your fancy. Probably Burning Rush for questing. Although then again, actually, yeah, probably Burning Rush for questing, Demonic Circle, or Dark Pact for rate. Well, completely depends on the fight, really. That's going to be very situational. Luckily, you can just change and swap around whenever you feel like it, so it's fine. Let's just get rid of these off the bars. There we go. Right. Tier 90. Grimrar Supremacy empowers your demon pet, causing it to have 20% increased health and 20% increased damage. Grimrar Service summons a second demon for 25 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. And Grimrar Synergy. This has changed slightly. When you or your demon deal damage, there is a chance to trigger Demonic Synergy, granting the other one 15% increased damage for 15 seconds. Now, thinking about it, actually, I actually think this one potentially is going to be stronger, because if you've got... The question is whether, when it says your demon, if it means just the Felguard, or whether it means all of your demons. I need to test that, I haven't checked. If it affects all of your demons, then I feel this is going to be stronger. If it only affects your Felguard, then probably Grimrar Supremacy. But Grimrar Service will probably be more damage, because it means you've got another demon out and you can empower that demon, and then that works well with your artifact ability of consumption, because that will then deal extra damage, and if you go with Demon Bolt, that means extra damage for that as well. So I think Grimrar Service will probably be the more damage option. However, I'm lazy and I don't want to have to press another button, so I go with the Grimrar Supremacy while leveling. Okay, and the final tier, the level 100 talents, we have... I'm going to go in reverse order for this. Demonic Servitude, so allows you to use a Doomguard and an Infernal. I haven't looked into the numbers. Right now it's alpha, so I don't care too much about the numbers. I'm not looking for what is the most viable spec or what is the most powerful spec. I'm just playing around and what's the most enjoyable to play and what seems to get the job done. Demon Bolt. Draw energy from your demons and launch a bolt of demonic energy at the target, dealing 10,000 chaos damage. Damage is increased by 30% for each demon that you have. It generates 1 soul shard, replaces Shadow Bolt. Now, on the face of it, you think, that's pretty good. And it is quite good. It means, you know, this, when you've got a load of demons out, I think the most I've ever had from this is 45,000 like hit instead of 10,000, so that's quite an increase. But what I don't like about it is, first of all, the cast time on it is quite a bit slower. So Shadow Bolt is 1.69 seconds and Demon Bolt is 2.11. So it makes the spec feel a lot slower. Secondly, it reduces your soul shard generation. So you're going to be generating a lot less soul shards, which means a lot less demons, which means a lot less damage. Thirdly, you're going to be proccing your artifact less because you're shooting less often, and it actually feels at the minute like it's got a lower proc chance. And fourthly, you're going to be proccing demonic calling less because you've got a much slower cast time. So I do like it, but I don't think they should change the cast time on it. I think they should leave the cast time the same as Shadow Bolt. Otherwise, it's not so much of a damage increase as a more of a change in the way you play, and it's more of a side grade rather than an upgrade. So I think they need to leave the cast time the same in order for it to actually be an upgrade, which it currently isn't. Summon Inquisitor. Summon a demonic inquisitor that will launch Shadow Frost volleys at all targets that you have doomed. Last 18 seconds. Now this is quite cool. Shadow volley does about 10,000 damage. And it's on every target you've got doomed. So if you're grouping a load of stuff up and you're dooming everything, this is going to do a lot of damage. And again, it benefits from empowerment. And again, it's another demon you can have out for consumption. And your AoE, if you ever wanted to do that, I don't know why you would. So I prefer favouring that at the minute rather than Demon Bolt until they change the cast time of Demon Bolt. So what I'm going to do now is, let's see now. There's nothing really there. I'm going to show you, first of all, I'll show you what Demon Bolt looks like. It does look pretty cool, look at that. Wapow! You can see it's quite a cool animation. Now let's swap that back to get out of combat. Get out of combat. Come on, there we go. Summon Inquisitor. So, Felguard, let's call him out, as everybody knows what that looks like. Okay, now let me show you what the Dreadstalkers look like. So there they are. Cool. Yeah, nice. Right, and we get some imps out for you to see. I need to get some soul shards. 1, 2, 3. Let's see whether I can get it to use 5. What do you reckon? No. Now these are really hard to see because they're inside of him, but there they are. And they're just blasting them away. Each one hitting him for very little, but you know. What does it actually say? So they don't do a huge amount of damage, but you tend to have a lot of them out. So that's that. Inquisitor. There you go. There's the Inquisitor. Pow! Yeah, that's it. You show him. See, it looks quite cool. And obviously that's good for AoE. So let's just show you it all running. So this is how I've been playing. I've been obviously keeping Doom up, keeping the Felguard attacking, getting out as many imps, summoning 4 imps, and then hopefully having the cool Dreadstalkers proc, meaning I can then call 2 Dreadstalkers as well, which means I have 1 soul shard left over, so I can then summon an Inquisitor and then empower all of those, and then I would use consumption, and that just deals a crap ton of damage. Let me actually just show you how much consumption will do if I actually rotate that properly. Alright, here we go. Now I really hope I can get a Dreadstalker's proc. Come on. No, okay, that's fine. I need to get 3 ready. So there's the Dreadstalker, there's the Inquisitor, there's the empowerment, and then there's consumption. Boom! 191,691. See, that's, and then now they're just going ham. They're just going crazy town. See, it's really nice when that Dreadstalker procs, because then it just gives you those 2 free soul shards effectively. One thing I keep forgetting to do without, because I don't have any of my add-ons, I keep forgetting to recast Doom because I'm not paying attention. Doesn't help that it doesn't display above his health bar like the other dots do, but yeah, so that's pretty much it for all of the abilities and the talents and the artifact. My thoughts, I like it. I much prefer it to how Demonology is currently on live. I think it's a huge upgrade, and I think it's not a huge upgrade, a huge improvement, and I think it's much better fitting to the idea of a Demonology Warlock, in that you have a shit ton of enemies that you, shit ton of demons that you control. So I think it works very well. I still think there's one or two little things that they need to work on, like Doom and Demon Bolt and the AoE Demon Wrath thing. But all in all, I think it's actually it feels very good and it works very well. A lot of the abilities synergize together very well. And after playing, so I've got 2 Warlocks on Alpha. I made an Affliction Warlock and a Demonology Warlock. And I'll be completely honest with you, people that have been on my channel for when it's, since it started, I have always been an Affliction Warlock player. I'm tempted and I'm more inclined to level as Demonology because it just feels more comfortable and you feel stronger and you feel less less fragile and stuff dies faster. So that does depend entirely on what their plans are for how they're going to handle multiple artifacts, because if the artifact you choose, because you have to choose your artifact as soon as you start your the new expansion before you go into the new areas, if that's the artifact you're stuck with and you can only get one artifact, which I'm pretty sure they're not going to do that, then I would really have to make a tough decision because I don't know which one's going to be better. I think Affliction will be good in raiding because you don't have to worry too much about tanking the enemies. But similarly, I think Demonology would be good in raiding. I can't say anything for Destruction yet because I haven't even seen the artifact. I know that I like Destruction. Destruction's good. But yeah, it completely depends on how they're going to handle how early you're going to gain access to that second artifact as to which spec I'm going to play, which is a first because up until this point I have always been, I will play Affliction. Like, I don't care, no matter what, I will play Affliction because it was my favourite spec. But I just, yeah, this Demonology spec is much more enjoyable than the previous Demonology spec, so we will see how it mutates over the course of Alpha and into Beta. So that will wrap it up for today. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I will try and get some more videos up in the future, but it would be helpful if I could get my own access to Alpha on my account, Blizzard Arch, #1955. But we will see. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.